Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. So some information that came across the wire today on indicating that probably a war is coming soon to the Middle East came from the Marines. Now, I know that there's a lot of you folks that are Marines, so if I'm way off on this or not, whatever, let me know. I'm not a Marine, okay? I have Marine friends, but I'm not a Marine. So this is the 248th year anniversary of the Marines, and the Marine Ball is coming up soon, which is a huge deal. From what I understand, it's kind of the highlight of the year for Marines, to the Marine Ball, the anniversary birthday ball. I guess it's birthday, not anniversary, whatever. The birthday ball for the Marines, big deal. Well, apparently, in Central Command, which CENTCOM is the Middle East, they have issued orders that they are canceling all birthday ball celebrations in CENTCOM due to operational responsibilities, the nature of the mission, and the nature of what is going on in the Middle East. Now, this just may be precautionary, but from my understanding of talking with a couple of people that were Marines, this is a big deal. They just don't do this willy-nilly. It's a very serious thing, a serious tradition. And for them to, from the command, the top of the command staff in CENTCOM, in the Middle Eastern region, to say the Marines are not going to be doing this, that seems to be a pretty big deal. And I think there's a lot of growing speculation that this is being done because there is this belief that by the time it would happen, which I think is in a couple of weeks, I think it's the 16th, but my dates may be off. Please forgive me. Again, I'm not a Marine, so, but I believe it's about the second week of November. Here we are, the 1st. And so it's a big deal. Are they anticipating things to get really hairy between now and then? Is it simply because there has now been something like 25 attacks on American military bases in the Middle East, predominantly Syria and some in Iraq? Is it just simply that? I mean, I'm having a hard time believing it's simply that, because at this point, if nothing expands, I'm not seeing, at least, I mean, maybe the military leadership knows things, because of course they know things that you and I don't know. But just on the surface, I'm not seeing any risk at Marines stationed elsewhere in the Middle East, but other than those areas in Syria and Iraq. So why would they issue an order that the birthday celebrations in all of CENTCOM be canceled? I guess it's something to debate. And like I said, I would probably defer to some of you that have served as a Marine of the unusualness of this. It's not happened very often, from just based on comments, and I haven't done the research, but based on comments, there's a belief that it's only ever happened once before, and that was during COVID. Some are saying that's not true, and maybe there wasn't an order, maybe they just canceled a lot of the celebrations and some happened. But we're talking an actual order from Central Command, from that level, ordering it to be canceled, seems very strange. And it's kind of making you wonder, if you think about it, do they know, or do they strongly believe that we are that close to a war? That close. If they thought that the war was months away, or even many weeks away, what is it going to hurt to have one night of a birthday ball? I mean, they're Marines, come on. So they get sloshed one night. They'll be fine the next morning. They're Marines. So if they thought that, there was some danger several weeks ahead, that they needed to keep everyone on their toes, then it makes no sense to cancel it when it's only a couple of weeks from now. Again, I could be wrong, but when we look at all the things that are happening, the amount of troop built up, the amount of just military buildup, overall, it's impressive, to say the least. that in 3 weeks' time, and honestly, most of this got there in the first week and a half. The amount of ships, the amount of planes, the amount of manpower, and there's so much that we don't know, because there's been multiple reports of dozens and dozens of cargo planes, military cargo planes, landing in and around the Middle East, much higher numbers than what would be considered normal. So it certainly is indicating a lot of stuff is being moved. We're not sure if it's troops or if it's equipment, whatever it is. But it's quite plain and clear that we are moving an immense amount of assets into the Middle East. I mean, we just left not really that long ago, and I'm not just speaking of Afghanistan. It's not been that long ago before we really were pulling a lot of the stuff out. I mean, I know we definitely left things. We have bases and stuff like that, but it's like, it feels like we're just starting all over again in the Middle East, but probably even worse this time, because Israel is directly involved in this. Not as necessarily the aggressor, but Israel obviously was attacked horrifically, and they've retaliated. And some say they've gone too far. Some say they haven't gone far enough. But the point is that the possibilities of this escalating beyond just that conflict are becoming greater and greater. And the fact that the Marines have canceled their birthday ball for that region seems to be a pretty good indicator, I think, with a lot of people, that they're anticipating something happening soon. Now, if that's the case, again, I will remind you that we're talking only about a 2-week period of time. So is there a belief within the military command that we could be at a much more higher war status in just 2 weeks' time? That's not a lot of time, folks. I'm not trying to get people to panic, but think about that. The unusualness of canceling this level of event at that high of a level of command. It's not like a particular smaller unit, maybe on one base or whatever, is saying, hey, we got things going on, we're going to cancel it for here. They've canceled it for all of Central Command, the entire Middle Eastern region. And that seems to be the strong unusualness of this, and very possibly indicating that we are much closer to a more serious direct conflict. Now, there's other things that's gone on the news today. It's been leaked from the Biden administration that the Biden administration doesn't believe Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be in power much longer. And so they're already being, apparently, this is the news rumor, that they are already communicating with other people in the Israeli government that might possibly take power. What are they saying? I don't know. Try to probably feel them out of, what they would do with this war. If would they continue it on, continue what Benjamin Netanyahu's been doing, his focus, or would they change it? I'm sure that's been the biggest conversation. But certainly that's happening. Lebanon and Iran has again really thrown it out there, saying that this has just gone too far, and that they keep saying that. At what point? I mean, are they going to do anything? I'm not saying they should, or I hope so, but for a couple of weeks now, they both and a few others have been saying, that you're taking this too far. At some point, where it's going to expand, we're going to get involved, and yet they haven't. But that doesn't mean that they won't, and so that could certainly happen. I think I mentioned this morning, North Korea has said that they're going to, fully support Palestinian efforts in any way they can. They've been sending arms to Russia. That also kind of was confirmed today. And Jordan has now recalled its ambassadors from Israel. It looks like they are, I wouldn't necessarily say breaking diplomatic ties with Israel, but definitely straining diplomatic ties with Israel. So that's happening. Several other countries in the region have done that. They've pulled their ambassadors and asked Israel's ambassadors to leave. Like I said this morning, there's been several other countries that have strongly condemned and even calling out war crimes. We're watching a not just regional, because some of these countries are in South America, in China, places like that. They're all over. We're watching a very organized effort, I think, at this point, to create a big divide. And regardless of what side the United States is on, and of course, I believe, at least at this point, it's going to be on siding with Israel, but with the Biden administration, you never know. But regardless of that, the United States is going to end up being right in the middle, because there's also a lot of assets in the area. I'm not talking about military and people assets. I'm talking about, things like crude oil, gasoline, lithium deposits, things like that. It was just, I think, last year that Iran announced that they have discovered the second largest lithium deposit on the planet. Off the coast of Gaza, this last year or two, they've discovered massive gas, deposits and stuff. So there's a lot of that also being fought over in the Middle East. That's going, and that's been the case for 100 years. Oil in the Middle East has been fought over for 100 years. So it's all going to kind of come together, I suspect. Will it end up being a world war? What's a world war? Is it, if it's just in the Middle East and all the Middle Eastern countries, along with Russia, China, and the United States, is that considered a world war? Do we have to have multiple fronts? I don't know. But I think that it's getting very close to that point. I don't like this, but when you look at the financial side of things, when you look at the globalist New World Order side of things, I guess from their perspective, the world needs another world war. And that's what usually happens when there's this changing of the guard when it comes to the leader of a world order. And that's where we're at right now. And so at this point, we'll see who comes out on top. But I assure you that you and I are not considered in any of that. You and I are just the cannon fodder. And they don't care if we lose jobs and homes and fortunes and illnesses and starvation and rights. They don't care about that. They don't care. And so that's why we have to be not just ready, but more self-sufficient. We have to be able to stand on our own 2 feet on our own. And so if your plan includes depending upon municipal water supply or utility supplies or a food supply system, the grocery stores, any of that, if your plan includes dependent upon any of that, then it's very, very weak. And so while it may be tough, your plan should be how to survive without those things. I'm not saying it's going to be easy or pleasant, but your plan should include that. Because at some point, it's either A, not going to be there, or the cost is going to be far too high for you to benefit from those systems. And whether it's things like this, or digital IDs, or central bank digital currencies, whatever it is, marks on your forehead and your hand, you know what I'm talking about. And so we have to be able to withstand all that, defend against that. And I mean defend as in not using it and having another alternative plan, which is being self-sufficient and having groups around you. Mutual assistance and tribe and community is very, very beneficial in those situations. So be working on that, because like I said, this whole thing with the Marine birthday ball it's not looking good when it comes to the possibilities of an expanding war. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.